Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook on Friday the 17th of May. Now, it's a weather pattern that is all rather much of a muchness over the next week or so ahead. Very slack pressure patterns, nothing moving around too quickly, not a great deal of dynamic mobility in the atmosphere, nothing coming steaming in from the Atlantic. So it's going to be a story of mostly light winds. Some showers will be around. There'll be some sunshine as well. We might be a bit more plagued with low cloud and temperatures relatively cooler compared to what we've seen during this past week. Pressure is comparatively lower to what we've seen just recently. Low pressure, then, a very broad feature, is centred somewhere over central parts of Europe. We're being fed by air that's coming in from the east. It's fairly unstable. There's one or two showers around. There's something of a weak front passing its way westwards across the British Isles during Saturday. A lot of low cloud, particularly across more eastern hills, will tend to break up a bit through the day, but many eastern Scottish hills in particular likely to be stubborn with that low cloud. Some patchy rain, some bursts of showers breaking out, particularly into the afternoon. Also, some drier periods, best of those, most likely towards more western coastal fringes. For Sunday, it's still a slack pressure pattern. What's left of a front is draped somewhere out toward the west. There's hardly an isobar on the chart across the British Isles, so not too much wind around. Low pressure is over the near continent. The atmosphere again is fairly unstable, so showers will break out. It's all really the leftovers of what's been around on previous days. Areas of low cloud will be around and will tend to lift and break once again through the course of the daytime. Chance of a heavy burst of rain then onwards into the afternoon, and if you catch that with not too much wind, that could stick with you for an hour or so. It's going to look very similar into Monday as well. Not too much wind once again. The general flow feeding in from the North Sea as a northeasterly, not too much wind. So again, where showers break out, they'll be slow moving. Local heavy bursts are possible. Coastal fringes, generally the sunniest of all. Again, there'll be a story of low cloud in some places, probably the eastern side of Scotland and the eastern side of the Pennines, most likely to see that. But again, through the day, will lift and break, so some clearances to higher tops are possible. Subtle changes perhaps towards Tuesday, but with everything having been so slack up until this point, it won't take a great deal to change the story completely. But the idea is that something of a front is rotating around from the North Sea, just organising itself into perhaps a more extensive zone of low cloud and rain. The worst of that may well stay offshore. It might even drift further to the north of Scotland, but it's the idea of some rain coming in, particularly to the north and east of Scotland. Elsewhere, one or two showers breaking out once again. The wind may be a touch stronger, but still, the isobars are very spaced out, so it shouldn't be too concerning for most places. Keep an eye on your details then. Anything could just change heading towards midweek. The chart at this stage, though, for Wednesday shows something very similar, if anything just trying to develop that low over the North Sea with a bit more strength, so there's the scope for some heavier rain to form on that front, coming in to more eastern hills. Something of slack high pressure is away to the west and also the northwest of Britain, and low pressure is well out over the Atlantic at this stage. And it's the question mark on exactly what happens next then. Everything likely to stay on the slack side towards the later part of the week, so things still moving around very slowly. It'll be the idea of a mixed weather regime with some sunshine, some showers, maybe the risk of some more organised rain in places, but equally some places getting away with many hours or even several days practically dry. So it'll almost be take your chances, and that's as good as we can do at this distance. The pressure pattern stays slack really towards the very end of the week, but stays on the low side, so always just that idea of still being a showery pattern. Not too much in the way of wind. Temperatures fairly average for the mid to later part of May, not particularly warm but not especially cold, maybe just the odd cooler day if more of a northeasterly wind does just pick up and draw something chillier in, but unlikely to come to anything too significant. I think even heading onwards towards the spring bank holiday weekend, it looks a fairly slack weather pattern. A lot to play for at this distance. There's a glimmer of high pressure from the Azores just trying to nudge in, and if that does build northwards, we might just start to see more of a westerly flow developing. A struggle to get a genuine westerly in though. There's nothing really steaming in off the Atlantic. I'd fancy we still stay under a fairly slack, fairly low pressure pattern, so the idea of sunshine and showers may be with us for a little while yet. And that overall idea of a lack of genuine westerlies is shown pretty well on this chart. It's one which is a different computer model. It more or less shows the same sort of concepts as the previous chart, perhaps just tries to pick out a bit more detail. What we can see, though, is quite an extensive zone of east to northeasterly winds, all the way from northern Scandinavia, across the North Atlantic and to the south of Greenland, with high pressure, quite a strong feature around Greenland at this stage. We've got low pressure systems over the mid-Atlantic and across northern and central parts of Europe, and that's more or less where things are going to keep running in as a fairly slack pattern. We're rather stuck in between systems. It wouldn't surprise me to see what we've seen in recent weeks, which is areas of low pressure across the near continent and something of an airflow that's still coming round more off a northeasterly, even onwards towards that Springbank weekend. So it's rather a tricky picture for the week ahead. It's almost neither one thing nor the other. It's not completely settled, but it's not deeply unsettled at this stage either. The idea then generally of sunshine and showers, and occasionally the hills plagued with low cloud as well. Stay up to date with your local details and updated every single day on our website. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.